Hello, everybody, and welcome to stream. I am Mare. I use they, she pronouns, and here's my scene partner, Val.
Hi everyone. Uh Sorry, I just lost my whole mind for a second there. Hi everyone, I am Valiant Durin. I use him his pronouns TWG Pro GM writer. And variety stream, you can find me at Valiant Durin or at Otsu Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt that I set you on. And I am indeed Mare's scene partner. I'll be playing Ishmael Kadir, who is our Eurydice, uses he they pronouns, and I will also be portraying the Fates.
We are playing a game today called Follow Me Down by Joey Martin and written by Drowning Moon Studios. This is a game of love and grief as it follows the telling of Orpheus and Eurydice. As Val said, they are playing the Eurydice book, and I'm playing the Orpheus book today, and I will be playing Kiran, who uses they them pronouns, and I will also be playing the Fates because it's described as a GM-less game, but we're actually just trading the GM role back and forth and playing hot potato. Before we get started, this is a charity stream, everybody. Over on Sword and Key, all the one-shots this month, along with the two-shot of Follow Me Down, we are raising money for Project Hope. Project Hope is a global health and humanitarian relief organization. This month, they're raising money for the Ukraine Crisis and Global Relief Fund, and focusing on delivering medical supplies, trauma care, and mental health support to Ukraine and the Ukrainian refugees. If you would like to learn more about the charity, you can put !charity in chat. And if you would like to donate, you can put !donate in chat, and that'll bring it to the Tiltify. This game doesn't have any game incentives. We wanted to keep it as raw and as possible with our fails and our successes. However, if you want to donate and influence the next game, which is this Sunday called Raccoon Sky Pirates, and help at least one raccoon in the game procure an air fryer, please donate. Yeah, an air fryer. Anik said her raccoon wanted to get an air fryer.
I agree that air fryers are nice to have, but I need to tune in, and so should you all, for this stream so that I can have context about the air fryer. Join me in that endeavor.
Please, I need to know, because Raccoon Sky Pirates is just a mouthful of words that I need to be involved in the chaos in.
Absolutely.
Oh, and one last thing before we get started, because this is very important and all of your safety is very important. This is a sad game. This is going to be heartbreaking and gay and sad, and we do have content warnings. So our game of Follow Me Down includes the following content warnings: death, loss and grief, depression, abusive family dynamics, complex and complicated relationships, and depictions of violence. Your health is important. Your mental health is important. So if any of this gets really overwhelming, please step away. There will be VODs if you really want to come back, but please take care of yourself. We know that this might be a rough two-shot, especially with how both of us plan games.
But yeah, and yeah, just know that Bear and I are both using safety tools on and off the table, so
Safety tools.
know that.
Before, after, during. We have all the things.
We have all the things, so please take care of yourselves, y'all.
This is also the happy card. We're going to be maybe waving this while we're crying. See how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that the last thing we need to do before we get started is just remind everybody on why we are here and what this story is about. The tale of Orpheus and Eurydice. No matter the time, no matter the place, it always begins in celebration and ends in tragedy. But maybe not this time.
Legend has it that Orpheus was the son of Apollo and the muse Calliope. He was unnaturally gifted in music and poetry, and neither man nor god nor beast could resist the beauty of his songs. It was said that he could captivate the leaves on the trees, the rocks in the earth, and even call upon winds and rivers to change their course.
Eurydice was a woman of exceptional grace and generosity who Orpheus wooed with his song. She was beloved by all who knew her, and known for her kind words and deeds. She was charmed by Orpheus, and the two were soon married, the celebration culminating in a grand wedding feast.
Wine flowed, bonfires burned, and music filled the air as guests ate and drank, sang and danced, and made merry from dusk until dawn. During the celebration, Orpheus lost sight of his bride, while she cavorted with nymphs in a joyful dance. It was during this ecstatic revel that Eurydice trod upon a viper and was poisoned.
It was not until the next morning that Orpheus discovered his bride was dead. He wept bitterly for the loss of their future together and vowed he would venture into the underworld to beg Hades and Persephone, the king and queen of the dead, for Eurydice's return.
Orpheus traveled to the gates of the underworld and used the power of his music and poetry to gain entry and charm all who dwelled there. After overcoming many challenges, he made his way to the throne room to beg an audience with Hades and Persephone. There, he played a song so sad and lovely, he was able to bring Hades, the implacable king of the dead, to tears.
Moved to compassion, Hades offered Orpheus and Eurydice a deal. Eurydice would be allowed to return to the mortal realm on the following conditions. She could follow Orpheus through the underworld while he walked ahead, but the two could neither speak nor touch, and Orpheus could not look back to see if Eurydice was truly there until they had crossed into the living world.
Orpheus and Eurydice agreed to Hades' terms and began the difficult passage out of the underworld. It was a long and challenging journey, but Eurydice followed Orpheus faithfully, never losing sight of her husband's figure before her. Orpheus ascended, step by step, out of the darkness, until the light of day shone brightly ahead. Yet, just as Orpheus stepped into the light of the living world, he turned to look back at his love, not realizing Eurydice had not yet fully crossed the threshold and remained shadowed in the darkness of the underworld.
In an instant, Eurydice vanished, returning to her place among the dead, lost to Orpheus forever. Orpheus, knowing he would never again be reunited with Eurydice, was left to wander the world in desolation and solitude, endlessly singing of the love he once had and lost. And Eurydice had been told time and time again of the distance some are willing to go for love, and how, sometimes, the distance isn't the only thing that matters.
So that's the vibe we're going for in this game of Follow Me Down. All right.
As we get into this game, Val is technically GMing first, but first Kiran has to get to the underworld.
Yes, indeed. Please tell me, how does Kiran get to the underworld? Or in this case, the Pale.
As a heads up for everyone in the audience, we are playing Follow Me Down in the setting of Invisible Sun, which is a setting created by Monty Cook Games. The two characters we are playing are from a previous campaign called The Soul's Confidant, which was aired on Friends Who Roll Dice late 2021 into early 2022. So if you would like... Yes, yeah, it was over a year ago. If you would like to learn more about their dynamics throughout the campaign and how we got to this, please go check out the campaign. It was also very gay and also very heartbreaking. But this game will be surreal and weird, and we may be using terminology you might not be familiar with. In one case, the underworld is known as the Pale. And first, Kiran must get there. The scene opens up on a lovely little neighborhood in a small district in Fartown. We see a house made of two entwined snakes. One of them, a black snake with constellations laying limp, while the other is a white snake with beautiful flowers on it, protectively curled around it, sad and morose. Inside the home, elegant and decadent and yet very quiet, we see a young person, well, not so young anymore. They've gotten older. Hair has slowly started graying. It was used to be dark, beautiful brown with always a messy bedhead, but it's a little longer now. And beautiful hazel eyes. This person used to have a lot of 5 o'clock shadow, but it looks like they haven't shaved in weeks. It is long, and they are in a bedroom, hovering, walking back and forth. And we can see on the bed a corpse of a young man, also growing older with age, long dark hair with a side shave, now also gray. Blood is on their chest, and if it were anything other than a dark, deep black kurta, we would be able to see the stain. It's hard to say how long that body has been there. This person, Kiran, has been working away for weeks, trying to find a solution to get their love back. Taking some long steps, tears barely held back, heads to the kitchen. And there they begin to boil a pot of water and take a single gray mug from the cabinet. It is cracked in some places and the handle has been glued back on several times. And they make a cup of tea. When this tea, deep black and bitter, is complete, they head back in to the bedroom, kneeling beside the bed and taking a cold, cold hand of their partner Ishmael in their hands. And they breathe deeply. I said I would fight a warden for you, and I'm coming. And with that, inside their pocket, they pull out a small black cube, about the size of a D6 die, and they plop it in the tea, where the tea becomes black, and they mix it in almost like a sugar cube. Picking up the cup and mug in their hands, they lift it to their lips and drink heavily. And soon the room, filled with both living person and corpse alike, begins to fill with a pale gray mist. And oh fates, where does this mist lead me?
Like an exhale of cigarette smoke, gray envelops you and your vision. The smoke coalesces and you find yourself effortlessly passing through a veil, a thin barrier. There's a dimly lit glow about this place. It feels like the early dews of morning, and you find yourself on an empty road, bare like a meadow found after a long, arduous journey. It is quiet, calm, and serene. The colors of this place is not fully gray as you perhaps expected. It isn't as white or bone colored as you thought the pale to be. It's colorful. The greens of the grass, the bark of the trees, and even the dirt path before you all have color. Kind of like a watercolor palette splashed with way too much water. It is diluted. And you arrive, Kiran, at the crossroads. In your preparation to come here, you were aware of the many paths of the Pale. And you were prepared for this as well, as you begin your descent. How are you feeling as you move down this trek of path further down into the Pale?
This isn't the first sin I've been in, but it's the first time I've been here. So, a little bit of relief, still depressed from the fact that my husband is dead and gone by causes that I am unaware of, but relieved that the Empress hasn't greeted me here.
Indeed, the Empress is not quite here. You pan your vision around and pay attention to see if any of the residents of the Pale are here. None have greeted you yet. In fact, Shalat, who's meant to be here, the protective empress of this realm, who rules it firmly, protects it, covets it firmly, has yet to notice your trespass. For you know you need a visa to be here.
I need a
And
visa.
you did not do that.
I need a visa. I did not do that. I did not go to the Pale Embassy. I specifically was looking for a way to come in through the back door because it would take far too long, and who knows that if I would even get approved in the first place. And when Ishmael is involved, I need to be fast.
You do. The deaf lose many things in the Pale. The longer time waits. Many, once they've reached a certain threshold, lose sense of who they are. Even the Visley, the powerful mages of the world of the invisible sun. Back door. Interesting wording that you've put there. And you look around once more. Of course no one is here. This is not where the dead come through. This is not the entrance. You are elsewhere, but your only path forward is this dirt path. But fear not, for over the horizon you see vegetation begin to increase in volume. You see trees and grass and bushes of pale green color, like watercolor seeping off of the canvas. And then you come to an actual, literal crossroads. And just before, a golden tree, bright and gold, glittering branches, and upon its branches, deep burgundy colored fruits of pomegranates. And as you look upon this tree, it is gorgeous. It is almost impossible to push your mind or your gaze away from it. You see these little serpents, ghostly, lingering upon the tree, dangling. And you see beneath the tree people? No, not quite like you. They're specters almost, but not fully disproportionate or anything like that. They're sat at the bottom of the tree, eyes gazing upwards as if in a reverie. And you hear the serpent call to you from this tree. Voice silky like honey, like velvet. A visitor. A visitor. You look lost, friend. For no one is here to greet you. Let I greet you. Greetings. We are the Honoroi.
As I began walking towards this path down towards where I eventually meet this crossroads, the mug, cracked and stained with paint chipping off it, handle having broken off several times, has fallen from my grasp, rolling into the mist. Before I do finally meet this Honoroi. And almost startled out of my contemplative thoughts, Kiran freezes, jolted, back into the presence of, well, in actuality. I guess I'm lost. Hi.
Hello. This is not the way in, usually. Not the way in. Be careful. The paths. Confuse even the dead. There's something you seek here. Seek. Why come to the Pale, friend?
Well, as you can see, I'm not dead.
You look finely colorful, colorful, colorful. Not like the ones here.
I have business. Something to steal.
Oh. And you see these serpents that are dangling on the branches lean forward, cradling themselves as they lean forward towards you, their snout almost face like a breaths away from your own face.
And I kind of hold out a hand to one of the snakes that's very close. I'm very familiar with snakes.
You are. And as you touch, do you touch it or do you just kind of hover nearby?
I offer it a place to slither onto.
You do so, and it rests its head upon your palm. And at the moment of contact, Kiran, you watch as the patterning of constellations wraps around the scales of this serpent. And then vanish.
The constellations of the snake.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Constellations appear on the snake. The scales almost move like one of those sequined cloths that you can get when they move. And it like enters them and vanishes. And they go, ah, that's it. Grief, heartbreak. Oh dear child, it wafts of you. Oh, I am pained, and I feel your sorrow. 'Tis hard to track the dead, the dead, the dead. Here, there's many, many who have come before. I can offer you some knowledge.
And what's the catch?
No catch, no catch. Only a task you must decide to do. These fruits, they are the holders of secret knowledge. Take them, take them. Have a taste of them. And you will find your lost love. You will find him.
And eyes following the serpents up into this tree of pomegranates. I'm looking over all of the snakes hanging from the branches. And if you're lying to me on what these fruits do, we're going to have a problem. You're not lying, are you?
No lie. There is knowledge here.
Is it knowledge that will bring me where I need to go? Something that will bring me towards my angel eyes.
It will. And its eyes glitter with a devilishness.
And how quick and what dangers will this knowledge pull me through before I get there?
Well, how much is this person worth to you?
Probably just about any danger that they would put me in.
What would you like to do, Kira?
I like to imagine that one of the snakes has slithered up the tree already.
They're kind of all are dangling along the branches.
But one has already gathered a pomegranate and holding
Probably.
it right there,
The tail
within arm's reach. And Kiran will just gently reach out and take that fruit. And pomegranates are a pain in the ass to peel. But
well, you notice actually as you hold this pomegranate and go to kind of snap it in half, it breaks so easily. And you see the incredibly succulent and vibrant red color in the flesh of the pomegranate. The dark red juice pooling on your palm and dripping from your hands. Blood red.
And before I dig into this beautiful fruit, I look at the Honoroi again. Dear serpent, is there anything else I need to know about this fruit? And I would like to charm. See if I can get any more information from the snake. I would like to roll.
Go ahead and roll for me.
As much as
Are you using a move?
Yeah, charm a denizen.
Alrighty, yes, I see it now.
Val, as much as I would love to just role play with you the entire game, I also want to showcase the game.
Yes. Showcase the game. Yes. So we are follow me down as a PBTA game for folks who are wondering. So Bear is about to use one of Orpheus's moves, charming a denizen, to ask for more information. So please roll with poetry.
Yes.
And we shall see what you get.
Our stats in this game are poetry, passion, pathos, and philosophy. Of course, Orpheus, our silver-tongued archetype, has a high poetry.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do.
11.
That is a success.
That is a full success.
With no issues. Okay, with 10, you do it. And as part of the mechanics of this game, and since you've succeeded with a 10 plus, describe a positive memory of you and Ishmael that spurs you on to success in this moment.
Reminded so lovingly by fruit. In the district of Fartown is always shrouded in a never-ending autumn. Crisp days all year long. And of course, in the autumn, there are some activities that people like to do. And of course, there's an orchard. Apple picking down the rows. Kiran playfully weaving magically between trees to sneak back up on Ishmael. And maybe intentionally spook them this time. But gathering up more apples than they can reasonably carry before going home, eating one or two on the way, and just gorged on that fruit for weeks and weeks.
Beautiful memory. You remember Ishmael's laughter, how easily he gets spooked at your silent steps. And the beautiful taste of the superior apple, the honey crisp. I stare at my audience. You
fuck red delicious.
Do it. Yep. You look upon these serpents. One of them breaks. Not the one who was attempting to charm you, but the one that was offering the fruit. And they say, some of the visions are illusion. And you see the other snake turn over at the other and snap. And then, but maintain composure in this moment, while the other snake continues. And you see almost, you blink if you miss it, floral patternings appear on their scales, almost as if in response to your memory. They say, there is truth, there's knowledge, but you must have the wisdom to see through it.
Nodding, taking in the wisdom of this friend. Kiran bites down into the tart juiciness of a pomegranate.
And just like paint being washed off a canvas, you are elsewhere. And in this moment, yeah, you're in someplace extremely familiar. Extremely familiar.
No.
Decadent halls, large entry gates. Where else could this be but the dwelling of your aunt, boss, leader of one of the underground syndicates of Sattery? You see the beautiful hallways, large tilings, decadent and extremely fancy statues and statuettes, large curtains. You walk through the hallways and like it's brief visions, as if you're looking through someone else's memories and you're looking in the first person. You see your aunt sat at a large table with a tall chair, cups of tea set for two, herself, and for someone else, for you, or whoever you are. And you pull a seat for yourself as she says, "Come, I've been expecting you. Have a seat." And then the image skips again and again, and then you're sat at the chair. You hear the person seem to want to speak a word, to warble, but it skips through. And she says, "You don't have to look at me like that, my dear. The drink is fine."
Of course she would insist it's fine. It probably is. The drink is not what you need to worry about with her.
Yes, you would know that. And you watch as hands wearing bejeweled rings, deep brown skin, pick up the cup.
Is there a snake tattoo moving upon that skin?
Indeed, a white snake with floral patterns moves up the skin and up to the back of this person's hand. Whose other hand could this be but your husband, Ishmael's? And he says, "I know better than to just trust you at your word, boss. You know that." Image skips again, and she says, "I need you to do something for me. Skips again. And he says, you know that they can't handle this." Skips again. And the boss says, "Need not. It'll be our secret. It will be a mutually beneficial relationship." And as she says that, she says, "Master Goetics, or rather the future Master Goetics." And he says, it skips again. "As long as you keep your end of the bargain, a deal is being struck here." How do you feel, Kiran, witnessing that?
Confused, first of all. It's hard to tell when exactly this is taking place. It's the last time that Kiran saw Antimone, boss, was right before the wedding years ago, hand delivering the invitation, of course. But confused, why is Ishmael talking to my aunt? Why are they making deals when they are very aware of the intricacies of deals? They were a lawyer in Shadow. They know who my aunt is. Why are they getting involved in the revelation? And why did they keep it from me?
As you think that, the image vanishes once more and you're in someplace else.
If that was even true to begin with, of course.
You're someplace else. You find yourself in a, yet again, very decadent hall. this is before the official celebration of your husband's recent achievements. Becoming master of the Empyrean Pax, a specialist in deals with angels. And he, as a formal gesture in the halls of Goetica, arrives to pick up his badge. You know this. He's told you that he had to do this before the big celebration. And as he does so, as he receives this pin, you, still through his eyes, sat on the stairs and steps of the halls of Goetica, hear a voice in your head. His head. Congratulations, Master of Pacts. Our business has been very fruitful. As Ishmael stares down at the badge. And your visions end. And as you appear back at this tree, you notice that the other snake has vanished. But the one who was aiding you has dangled down watching you. You have come out of this reverie without issue due to your success.
I want to hold my hands out to this snake with the floral patterns, with the pansies.
Mm-hmm.
In invitation.
It lowers itself closer to you. Its eyes, snake-like, serpentine, yet gentle. Definitely not as devilish or sinister as the previous one that greeted you.
O mirror of my soul, were those visions true?
My friend, what is truth but the perception upon which we place our own interpretation? Perhaps its visions might be right or false. Sometimes the perspective may be right or false. What did it look like?
It looks like secrets when we said there would be none.
A deception.
They don't lie. Well, they don't lie without good reason. I can only rely on trust right now. But regardless of what that was, my confidence and my persistence hasn't wavered.
You will need much of it. Many have come as you have. I need not tell you how many succeeded.
I'm sure I'll see plenty of them as I continue making my way forward.
Did the fruits show you a path?
Yes.
I wish you luck.
Thank you.
And the snake raises up. And just blink if you miss it. Just as you think you will just see the snake perhaps lean on the branches to snooze. There are no snakes on the tree. There are no fruits on the tree. It is just not even golden tree. It's just a bare, brown wooded tree. And you make your way forward, and you're at the crossroads. Kiran, you're about to make a decision. On one side of the crossroads, on your left-hand side, you see beneath you, it's like you're cresting over a hill. Beneath you, you see encampments. You see tattered tents, maybe wood, kind of makeshift wooden sheds, messily and crudely put together ahead of you. You see the dead milling about, and you understand that down there must be some sort of gathering of the dead for whatever reason. Perhaps close to where your next transition should be for the dead. To your right, seemingly open field. eerily quiet. You hear, and as you think that, you hear the snapping and deep murmured growling of beasts. What path will you take forward?
You said left was encampment and right was field with sounds of beasts.
Indeed, dead or the beasts.
I've been avoiding people ever since Ishmael died, only interacting. Well, he didn't die. He was murdered. There was a knife in his chest when I found them.
A dagger to the heart.
And I have been avoiding people as much as possible, unless I needed to find information. And so I decided to go right for several reasons. One being, I'm quick, I'm quiet, I'm stealthy. I'm not worried about catching the attention of pale creatures. But also, this part is maybe for a little bit of reminiscence and superstition's sake, but Ishmael dealt and summoned with his right hand. A summoner of angels, so right it is.
You go right towards the deep hums of snapping and snarling. And you are right, Kiran. You are quick. You see all manner of beasts here. This is where the beasts that die go. You see creatures of a legend here. You see large wolves kind of pitter-pattering around here, entities from the green sun, little sentient plants and monstrous fungi. But you are quick, you're adept. It's almost as if you move between different paintings of like natural biomes. Greens, pale and seeping from the canvas itself. And you bounce and you move and you use your apostate ways to maneuver around this space. The green begins to dissipate as you go deeper and deeper into the pale. Color begins to dissipate. The deeper and deeper you go into the pale. And you arrive at this kind of stony, almost like an abandoned ruins. Pillars are broken off and fallen on its side. Tiles are shattered. And you move forward. And you hear a pawing, like a cat's claw against stone. And above you, you see between two pillars, lazily lounging, a sphinx. Looking at you up and down. Kind of, it seems to be pawing at something between its paws. Ah, the living. Interesting.
Hello.
It purrs, looking upon you.
You're not gonna ask me a riddle, are you? I'm not good at them.
Oh, but that's the fun.
I know you're a cat, and cats like to play with their prey, but I'm on a bit of a schedule.
Play with prey? Huh. Nothing so gauche as that. Please. And you look upon this sphinx, and there's a part of you that wonders, are the stories from the false world true? Is this the same sphinx as you look upon it and look upon its wounds from a blade? You see like this sphinx is also still a specter. Its eyes glow with an unearthly glow, and there is a bright I want to say like almost a cerulean blade wound on the side of its body. And it looks upon you, and as it begins to like hop between the pillars, you see it. You almost had to do a double take. One of Ishmael's greatest accomplishments. The badge of the Master of Empyrean Pacts. It's beautiful, and you know that yes, there's a definite structure to a lot of the different badges, but some of them are customized to the master, so it is known on first instance who this person is. And you see it, the beautiful engravings of wings around it, like angelic wings. You remember Ishmael pored over this beautiful badge for weeks. He wanted it to be an homage to his mentor, to Atiel, his angel mentor. Why does the Sphinx have it?
That's a very good question.
It's playing with it, and it like now coyly sits between the pillars you're supposed to walk under.
Sorry to be so direct, but you have something that's not yours.
Oh. You mean this? Holds
Yes.
it out. Ah, yes. A dead gentleman dropped this.
He was here? How
Certainly
long ago?
was. You know how useless that question is here. Days, weeks, months, mornings, noons, nights. And as soon as they say that, you see above you, like as if taunting you alongside the Sphinx, the sky itself, pale, showing you the transition of the sun, the moon, the sun, the moon. They were here. That is all I can say. Any more, and it'll have to be a wager.
What do I need to do to convince you to part with that?
I'm a fan of classics, and since you brought it up, how about a riddle?
What about a game of rock, paper, scissors?
Hard to do that with paws. Not very dexterous, as it stretches its paws in front of you.
Fine.
Okay. It looks upon you with its cat-like eyes, smirking.
And I walk up to it, like, respectfully, standing in
Yeah.
front of it.
You get the sense from this entity that you're something it can finally toy with after so
Yeah.
long.
I had a feeling.
And it looks upon you keenly and asks and reads out this riddle. I can sneak up on you or be right in front of you without you knowing. But when I reveal myself, you will never be the same. What am I?
Val,
I will put
Mare's
it in the
really
chat.
bad. Mare's very bad at riddles.
So I know you are. I'm gonna have you have a think on this. I thought about this, I promise. So I'm gonna put it in the chat so you can take a look at it and give you a hot second. If you have no idea what this answer is, I will
Hold on, I'm gonna
ask
pause the
that-
music so I can actually read it and pay attention to it.
For the audience, I will read it out once more. I can sneak up on you or be right in front of you without you knowing. But when I reveal myself, you will never be the same. What am I? Audience members, feel free to answer in your own heads. Before putting it into the chat, I would like to challenge Mare a little bit. If Mare is uncertain of what the answer is, I will ask Kiran to either roll a pierce the veil move or approve your love, because I think those are the most appropriate for the answer.
Kiran is standing there, racking their brain. Because they've never been good at this. Ishmael's better than they are. Hell, even Emery is better than me at riddles. The smart little cheeky bastard.
Indeed.
And they're just standing there with their arms crossed, thinking so very hard. What is sneaky? What can be used as part of a riddle? And very quietly and reluctantly, unease, confusion, praying that this answer is in the right vein or correct. Myself. Because Ishmael's never the same person when I return and I surprise him. Serious to giddy with joy.
See, audience members, this is a lesson in improv. That is not quite the answer, but I like the reasoning you gave it. And to me, as the fates, that is far more compelling than the answer to a simple riddle. The Sphinx narrows its eyes at you. I see yet another lovesick, forlorn fool has made their way to me and just chucks the badge in your direction.
I have good reflexes. I catch it flawlessly.
You catch it flawlessly. You see the Sphinx kind of huffs like a cat does when it doesn't get its way, when it's told no to scratch the carpet, or told it can't have a third can of tuna today. It huffs and goes, "Fine, be gone with you. Hope you find this," and looks at you. Well-dressed man deeper into the pale. Just know that no one else has succeeded in what you are attempting. And there are far more trickier individuals here than I.
I don't reply to it. I will walk past in between those two pillars, continuing on, holding this badge close to my heart before tucking
Congratulations.
it into my kurta.
Congratulations. Mare has succeeded in acquiring their first ever keepsake, which is an important part of the follow me down mechanics. In follow me down, it directly impacts the outcome at the end of this game. When we arrive at the gauntlet of hope and regret. And you have acquired one of them. I like that answer.
What was the actual answer?
Betrayal.
Ooh. Juicy.
Mm-hmm. But yours made more thematic sense, and I like it better. Fight me, chat. I like it better. And because you have acquired the keepsake, I believe this is the perfect time for us to transition to book 2. Kiran, you step forward, and as you enter these broken pillars and go into the darkness, the colors are, with every other part of this place, the colors are bleeding out. But here the black is concentrated, like someone took a brush covered in black ink and just touched it upon a piece of paper. It pulses, it moves. And you go on forward, or should I say, downward. And that will end the first book, Kiran at the River of Souls.
And we arrive on book 2, Ishmael in the Unquiet Meadows, where I will be taking over as the Fates now. Also,
My turn.
everyone give a round of applause for Val, who did all of our overlay assets. They're amazing.
Thank you. Please like them. I love making them. All right, time to suffer. I'm ready. Time to use my sheet. Okay.
Ishmael,
Yes.
the last thing you remember is a knife in your chest, cold and hot at the same time. The pain was sharp and then dull as you felt yourself fall to the ground in the middle of your office. There has, over the past 7 years, you have since installed a permanent summoning circle in there. And almost beautifully ironic, you are surrounded by these runes, and your vision fades as you look up at your murderer. You do eventually find yourself, once the pain is gone and the blood is finished flowing from your veins, you find yourself somewhere familiar, but also not at the same time. You are in a very large railway station. There is mist flowing upon the ground, the sweet, sweet scent of flowers, asphodel, in the air. There are specters walking around, never in pairs, they're always solo, talking, gesturing at something you can't see. And as you acclimate, get some of your bearings, you realize that your body and skin and visage matches theirs, semi-transparent of a pale, pale gray. You have died. You are no longer a resident of Indigo, the Son of Truth. You're now a pale resident. In your last moments of life leading into death, now finding yourself fully here. What are your thoughts? What are your reactions? What is going through your pretty little head?
Ishmael kind of touches his chest as he realizes that he is indeed a pale resident and sees that kind of like bright, like cerulean blue mark of a dagger to the heart wound. And as he mentally in his own head chastises how just generally how uncool it is to just be walking around with a hole in your chest for the remainder of his existence in the Pale, and that's just how he's gonna look. And he's just kind of like, and the thoughts, his last thoughts as he left Indigo, as he left the world of the living, was, how could you, little snake? As he grips onto the hand of his murderer, staining their hands with his blood. His mind flitters to every single thing he could do at this moment to save himself, every cunning strategy, and none come. All he knows or feels is the final beats of his pulse. Red hot blood. And then a party that Kiran planned that he will not be able to attend. And they're waiting there.
That many of your friends and colleagues were set to attend. Your dad's RSVP'd.
My fathers will be there. Electo Roshni, April. Heck, I think even Emery RSVP, that was... And there's cold tears that wets his cheeks. I'm gonna miss it. They're gonna find me here. They're gonna find me here. And as soon as that horrific thought enters his mind, he thinks to himself, I'm leaving them here. And he wakes here.
You are in this rail station. In your hand there is a ticket. In a language you surprisingly don't understand, Mr. Goetic, or read. What do you do?
What does it say? What?
You can't read it.
But I know it's a ticket. You know it's a
train ticket.
I think Ishmael kind of like looks around. We're in a train station. He has a train ticket. Does not know how it got here, but he will look for is he on a platform or is he just at the station proper?
You're at the station proper. I'm imagining Grand Central.
Oh, wow, massive.
There is no entrance, though. You only see the tunnels and hallways leading off down towards the tracks. There are ghosts walking past you, some talking to people you cannot see, muttering in a language you don't understand. It sounds like gibberish of some sort, that you are able to get the tone of the passing folks. Some people are happy, some people are sad, excited. It is a varied range of emotions.
I think Ishmael will start walking because the suns are not immutable spaces, right? Even the spaces between can be manipulated or formed by intent and focus. So he does what he does best in these scenarios, where he focuses on trying to find a path forward to see if the environment changes, and maybe find the equivalent of a conductor or a train station personnel that might direct him, because he's hearing the voices of other residents like him and he doesn't understand them. So this isn't something you just acquire at death, this knowledge, this language. So he's kind of in his black robes, his dupatta hanging off of his shoulders. He kind of like tightens it up and like just starts like focus walking to find a way forward.
You kind of almost don't have a choice. You're walking with the crowd. It seems like whatever direction you decide to go, whether it's left, straight forward, up the stairs, down the stairs, to the tracks, no one stops you, but it all seems the same in some way. And as you're walking, looking for any personnel of this odd train station where you don't know how you got there, you see a little newspaper rack full of magazines. But
I'm so glad the dead have news.
The news on the headline of all the magazines that are in front of you say the life of Ishmael Kadir.
Hey, look, dads, I made it.
It has you on the front cover. Dead. Blood.
Oh, is it literally my dead body? Yeah. Oh my god.
Blood staining your chest.
Ishmael looks at it. It says celebrating the life of Ishmael Kadir. This is when I died. Is that how they found me? And then it looks at like the blood and everything and how he is a corpse in there, so he doesn't look good. So he just looks at it and he's kind of like, oh God, I look horrific. This is what they use. This is what they print. I was master of Empyrean pacts. This is what they do. And he like looks upon it. And looks through the paper to see if there's any mention of a, usually when they say when someone has died, they talk about who they leave behind.
The obituary?
Mm-hmm.
There is no obituary. And as you open this magazine of your life, you see images move on the pages. You see when you first joined the Order of Goetica, finally becoming from initiate to first degree. You see yourself sitting in speakeasy, sad, confused from just coming back from shadow, until a handsome individual catches your attention, and you talk and you talk, and you have smiled for the first time in months. You see that same individual, your morning star, dressed up in extravagant jewelry and Daisy wedding attire, as you two got married. And all the simpler moments in between. Dumplings at Bao Bao's. Cuddling on the couch. Arguing over how much Kiran doesn't like the bar stools in the kitchen and how it needs to be comfier.
Well, they can get over it. This is far more stylish.
You eventually caved. Compromised.
I did. I can never say no to them. Not for long.
And the smell of flowers goes stronger as you feel yourself absorbed in the past and reminded of who you were.
This is sad. I think Ishmael kind of like sits there sad and like realizes that this is a collection of his life, essentially. And that the horrific thought comes into his head. That Kiran must have found them like that. And also another yet horrific thought, that he died alone.
Because the person that killed you is not a friend. You were alone.
She would weep for me.
The last...
He says under his
Did
breath.
you just call her a bitch?
Yes, I am calling her a bitch. She killed me. She gets to be called a bitch.
To be fair, she is a bitch.
She is a bitch and she killed me. I think if you kill someone, you get to be called a bitch by them.
The last page of the magazine details, in detail, of your death.
That's not pleasant, but all right.
But it
Reads on.
It doesn't detail anything after, because that's where your life ended.
Puts the if that's the end of the magazine, he puts it back. I'm dead. I am dead. No backup plans. No way out.
Excuse me.
Fuck. Noise. Fuck. And he'll look at the train ticket and move with the crowd. Merge to be one of them.
Eventually, you follow one of these crowds. It doesn't seem to matter where you go. No one stops you. You don't see any staff to assist you, to answer any of your questions on where your destination is.
A bureaucratic failure, might I add.
It is. But things don't need to make sense in Invisible Sun in order to be correct. You do find yourself eventually on a train resembling the Saturnine rail that goes throughout the districts of Saturnine. As you walk on, you do see that your ticket does give you a seat number. And as you walk on the train, everybody, even though there's 2 seats on each side of the train, there's only one person in one of those seats. No one is ever sitting next to each other. And as you walk down, it doesn't seem like, even before, it seems like they're still talking to people next to them, though, even though there's no one there. But as you begin to walk down the train to find your seat towards the back of one of the cars, these windows once again replay memories of your life, both the sad and the happy. And on a chair, partway down through the car, you see a familiar face. Many eyes and rings, wings splayed out from all around them. Their body is beaten and broken, and they are looking out the window. Your mentor, your friend, Artia Ill.
Atia?
They don't hear you when you speak. They are mumbling something to themselves, looking intently at the window, which, as you approach, once again shows a scene of you and Kiran at a drive-up theater.
Ishmael kind of like kneels by Artiail and keeps calling out their name and going, Artiail, it's Ishmael. Can you hear me?
Let's make a roll for this.
Yes, I would like to show tenderness, please.
Please show tenderness.
I want to show tenderness.
This is your friend.
This is my friend, and they seem troubled. So I will call them a troubled soul. So I'll be rolling with Pathos since I'm rolling with the Eurydice playbook. That's the stat that I have +2 on. So let's see. Ooh, these are nice rolls. That is an 11.
So on a 7, so that's what you get on a 7 to 9. So tell me what you do as you call out to your very good friend, where the last time you saw them, they were dying.
Guilt has gripped Ishmael since the day they died. Because he brought them to nature. He asked for their help. They came and they were ambushed and killed. And in this moment of like post-death vulnerability, Ishmael kind of like holds on to Artiel's hands, and just says, Artiel, please, I need to speak to you. I need to know if you're there. I need to know how you feel, why you're distressed. Let me help you. Let me help you.
As you plead to Artia Ill, this angel, the smell of florals and asphodel disappears immediately from your nose. And Artia Ill seems to be jolted out of a dream, a sleepwalking dream, as their hands, skin of gold, tightens around yours and they look at you. And this once sad expression, morose, smiles, and they begin talking. And you can tell it's the language of angels, but it's all gibberish. You don't understand it, but they're speaking to you. They seem genuinely happy to see you. And one hand gently cups your face before looking down at your chest, before their expression falls, realizing where both of you are.
I was a bit reckless, as you can see.
They say something which you still don't understand, but it has that lilt of a question.
I tried to make a deal with the devil. Not literally, but figuratively.
Their expression goes tender. There are many eyes looking at you before giving your hands a squeeze. And just as they're about to say something else, the smell of flowers slowly begins to return. And in front of your vision, a shepherd's staff lowers in front of your vision. And this smell of flowers just kind of poofs into both of your faces. You are not as affected, but Artia's eyes go unfocused.
No.
Their attention turns back to something that you cannot see.
No. Do I have a shepherd's staff in my hand now?
A hand is suddenly placed upon your shoulder as someone kind of they're not yanking you, but they're like easing you backward.
I think Ishmael, like, at first is like distressed because it's the first time he's spoken to his mentor and he didn't get to even speak to his mentor. The only reason why he could like understand was just because of how close they were. And as he's being escorted to his seat, he's like, I'm going.
Do you give
And he
this
kind of like
person a
sits
good look?
down. Yeah.
As you're kind of being escorted, there is this person next to you. They're not really a person, though. They're shaped like a human, with a head and arms and legs and a torso. But they seem to be made out of knickknacks, for lack of a better word. There are books and jewelry, things of sentimental value that don't make sense, like a shiny little rock, a broken teacup, and buttons for eyes. Anything you can think of, you see, and just kind of moves as they move. And as you're guided to your seat, you see that their staff is also wrapped and covered in these knickknacks. And then you see a flash of gold, white, and yellow. And you see a familiar white stained bookmark tied to the shaft. A bookmark used in Kiran's journal long ago that you found in their home when they were missing. One they continued to use long after they moved in with you.
Is it sticking out?
It's tied. It had a tassel, so it's kind of tied around some of the other knickknacks.
I think Ishmael like looks at this and looks at this person. He goes, This I recognize this. This belongs to my partner. Can I have it? Please, I feel, and I think like Ishmael's like trying to contemplate like this, because the way I'm interpreting this is, I feel the dead are drawn to their memories here, and I think like whether or not Ishmael logically understands this feeling doesn't matter. All it is kind of like this innate primal want to be tethered. And watching Atiail not be tethered has set fear into his mind. As he kind of just goes, may I have this? Please. It belongs to my partner.
As you kind of like notice it, I'm also imagining you're like kind of like leaning forward, reaching out to it, pointing to it. They move their hand with this shepherd's crook back. looking down at you, and it's hard to tell their expression. They don't have a face really to see, but you can feel sympathy.
Please, you don't understand.
Would you like to make a roll of some sort?
I
as you
want
plead?
to.
I know my book has like a plead. I'm trying to figure out what yours with the your option would be.
Uh,
Maybe
I could use a
stand up.
few things. I could either use stand up or prove my love.
I don't
But that's
think
not
this
significant
is,
risk.
Yeah, I wouldn't say this is significant risk. I would say you could use stand up to those who would impede your progress. Roll with poetry.
You know what? I'm going to use stand up. The dead in the pale can still use spells, right?
This is something I meant to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Yes.
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 Great.
But we're gonna roll it into the mechanics though of the system.
Don't fuck me on this.
Are you using your favorite spell?
I am going to be using my favorite spell, or attempting to. We see how these rolls go.
Tell me what
so this is with poetry.
Yes.
Oh, my poetry is a -1 because I put a -1 there because he's dead. Ishmael, seeing this, he's just kind of like, wait, I'll give you something for it. Something you want. That's how the spell works. It's always something you want. And then he remembers the time where he had to summon a demon once and they wanted a fingernail. And he was like, as he like concentrates on this spell, it's in Invisible Sun, there's this spell where you can conjure a trinket, and that trinket is always something pleasing to the target. And it is a spell I always use when I played Ishmael. So let's roll. Let's see how well this goes. Okay. Not horrific. So that is it's exactly a 9. It's 10 - 1, so 9.
They stare at you. Desire in your eyes as you conjure a trinket. It is a small locket, not made of any significant material, but a locket nonetheless in the shape of a heart. And then they look at the locket, look at this bookmark of yours, and on a 7 to 9, when you stand up to someone who would impede your progress, they concede, but only if you somehow prove you are worthy of one of the queens of the gift.
Mm-hmm.
They stare at you. From the locket to this bookmark, before looking over at Artia Ill. And in your heart and your mind, they are asking you to let go.
Do I have an understanding of like letting go of my memory of Artia Ill, or just my grief for them in general?
Yes. I'll let you interpret it as you want.
I'd like to think it's not like an amnesia sort of thing, but like the grief and the guilt. Because I think that is a way Ishmael almost like worships or holds Artia close. Because if they let that go, he has to move on. And that is almost worse than holding all of the guilt. Because he just has to admit it happened and walk away. And he's distressed. His bright gray eyes kind of like flicker. The pupils are shaking. And okay. And he kind of like looks over Artia Ill and he looks back at this person and goes, just let me say goodbye, please.
They nod and step out of your way so you can leave your seat.
I leave my seat. Ishmael sits at the very edge of the seat and like taps onto Atiel's like lap or hand.
The smell of flowers disappears again. As they turn to you.
I'm sorry.
They smile. Take 2 of their many hands and arms and cup your cheeks. And just lean down and kiss your forehead.
I have to let you go now.
They nod. Smiling.
But you have been the best mentor to me. I wanted to say that to you before we say goodbye.
They will squeeze your hands. And the words that come out, you still cannot hear or comprehend, but they're filled with love, no sense of anger or blame on their tone.
That makes it worse.
And as you finish saying your goodbyes, the smell of flowers returns. And they turn away.
And I think like a weight is lifted, but there's like a hole left. There's no more guilt to fill it. Just the logical understanding that things die, people die, entities with souls die. And that is okay.
And when you finally return to your seat, you're no longer holding the locket. It is replaced with a bookmark, gilded in gold. The white fabric now yellowed gray. The tassels have more or less fallen apart, but it still works for its given purpose.
He holds it tight, and I think he like holds it between his hands as he looks out and presses a kiss onto the bookmark. And something makes him feel more tethered to this world now, tethered to himself as he holds it in his hands.
Congratulations on getting your first keepsake.
I'm just glad the -1 didn't fuck me more, so thank God.
And even though you got your keepsake, the fates say we keep going with the scene.
Oh no!
Eventually, the train continues to drive by. You can see out the windows every once in a while. They don't always show your past, but all you see is just gray, blue-gray fog. Sorry.
No worries. Hydrate, please. My fate.
Hydrate, everybody. And
I will also hydrate.
Eventually, the train stops, and people begin to get off. You included. You feel a pull somewhere because now that you have this trinket of your beloved, of your morning star, you feel them. You feel a tug towards their soul. They're here.
I think that like tug feels so familiar to the TSC finale of when he was yanked out of the pail. It's that same tethered connection when he gave his morning star his soul name to call him back. It's that same control. And he like holds onto his chest. And he's feeling a lot of feelings. There's hope. There's that like longing of like being able to see them one last time. But then he remembers who his morning star is. And a phrase plays in his mind. I will fight a warden for you. And worry now bubbles up as he looks off into the distance. He needs to find them. Everyone who has done this shit has failed. No one has done this. No one has heisted from her royal majesty Charlotte of the Pale. Like, she is an extremely territorial entity and ruler of her domain. They're in danger. Yes, he's dead. It's happened now. But Kiran is still alive. He needs to get to them. And he's just kind of like looking over, gripping onto the bookmark, putting it in like a little kurta pocket in his chest, right over where the dagger wound is. And kind of stumbles forward towards that tug. It starts off as a jog and then to a frantic run.
As you are pushing your way through past these other specters, off the train and eventually onto a train platform, you see someone who sticks out of the crowd. An older middle-aged woman, about your dad's age, roughly. She has dark brown skin and is wearing a beautiful turquoise and gold sari. And she is holding a parasol above her head. It matches her sari, and the handle and the spokes are covered in bones. But the most oddest part of her, which isn't very odd since you live in the actuality, is she wears a blindfold of flowers. And as you get closer, you realize she's staring at you. And that these flowers aren't just a blindfold. The roots are weaving under her skin, keeping her eyes closed. And over the crowd, you hear a voice coming from her. Ishmael, I presume? And she's alive.
Ishmael looks at her whole situation, and he goes, yes, I'm Ishmael Kadir. You must be alive. I'm sorry, that is very rude. I don't know what's come over me since coming to the Pale. I feel clumsy. I'm sorry, who are you?
She holds out a slender hand to you. You can call me Sybil.
Sybil, a pleasure to meet you.
Would you mind walking with me for a bit?
It's not going to hurt me, is it?
No.
All right. I will. Is that in the same direction where I'm intending to go?
She hasn't specified, but she holds
No,
out...
but like it. But is she facing the direction I want to go?
Yeah, more or less. It seems like the crowd is going in one direction, so yes, and that's
okay.
Where you're getting pulled. And she holds out a hand, like to place on your arm expectantly.
Okay. I take it, and I assume like we're walking like this. Yeah. He takes it and walks with her.
Her steps are a little slower. Age is definitely catching up with her, and it takes a moment. And she seems to be she can't see, but she seems to be taking in the sights, your presence. You're solid in her arms. How are you taking death? I know it's a shock and
loaded question. Very loaded question. You must understand that, yes?
I do. It is my job, though. I come from Indigo. And I come to the Pale to talk with spirits who've passed on behalf of their loved ones.
How am I taking death? Well and not well.
You seemed like you were going somewhere pretty quick. You seem like you have a destination in mind other than Kettlefolk.
That obvious, huh?
Most residents aren't as lively as you just were.
He kind of like nods. Doesn't see a reason to lie in this moment. She seems to know what's going on. Well, I feel a tug towards someone.
Young love.
Please, my dear, I'm not that young anymore.
But you're younger than me. Take the compliment.
Touche. I will. Yes. One love.
I sincerely hope you find them, Ishmael.
Thank you. I was expecting more resistance from you. I thought you were in collusion with Her Royal Highness of the Pale.
No, I only have a visa. I have her permission to come and go as I please. As I said, on behalf of those still alive in Indigo and other sons, I have a station in the Confederacy of Cloisters, and I have a message for you.
Forgive my suspicions before this, Sybil. Please, relay your message.
Irfin and Amer give their love. They say they're proud of you, and that Kiran is coming.
Oh, ironic that I only hear that upon my death.
Her hand gently pats your arm as she takes her arm out from yours. I hope their words give you the strength to keep going. They also advised me of what was going on, and you're gonna need it. You and your love both.
It's good to know that we are surrounded by enablers.
I do need to leave you here, though. I have other dead residents I need to speak with and messages to deliver. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, Sybil.
And she leaves you in front of a large, empty door or entrance into a cavern. Steps leading below. And that's where we're going to take a break.
Ugh.
Hey, everybody. We're going to be right back in a couple minutes. Stretch, pet your pets, and hydrate. And we'll be back soon.
Hydrate.
Bye. Hello, everybody. We are back from break. I hope you had a lovely time stretching and petting all your pets for me because I love your pets. Okay. I'm able to check now. I couldn't, on my stream, the donation bar is really small. So I had to wait for stream to come back online on my end. But anyway, as a reminder, before we get back into books 3 and 4 of Follow Me Down, this is a charity stream and we're raising money for Project Hope. Currently, we have raised $40.69. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Let's go. And if you would like to donate to this amazing game and maybe give some of our raccoons on Sunday access to more trash and items to get themselves into trouble, please go donate at the link, ! Donate, and that's our Tiltify. Yes, I don't know what the trash pandas are doing, our little trash gremlin friends, but I'm ready. I'm in the chat in the Discord, and it looks like it's gonna be chaos. So, also, I think a bunch of them are gonna wear costumes. Raccoon
that's
costumes.
fun.
Okay.
That's fun.
I had to say something lighthearted because this next book is called The Great Storm for a reason, and Val told me to get anxious music on, so here we go.
Thank you.
Give you the floor, Fates.
It is I, the Fates. Thank you all so much for the donations. I appreciate you all being here. Before we get into this, I do want to highlight our content warnings again. Please know that we are using safety tools before, during, and after the stream. And take care of yourselves.
Also,
thank you for
for folks in this stream, please be advised that there is familial abuse in this next book.
There will be, yes. Specifically verbal abuse, for those who want to
maybe tune out if
to
you
know
need to step away.
specifically. Yeah, and I will do a quick content warning just before the scene happens as well. But let us start on book 3, Kiran and the Great Storm. You have no idea how this happened. You walked upon a inky portal and arrive in the middle of the ocean.
In the water.
You are sat upon a boat upon the pallid sea.
Oh!
It is dyed deep gray. It is as if you are in the throes of the beginnings of the storm. There is an electricity in the air. It makes your hair stand on end. It is gray and murky and dull and depressing and wet. So very wet. From water splashing you in the face, from drizzling of rain. But the rain feels differently here. It feels heavy, sharp, and viscous at the same time. It feels like ice. It feels like the pain in your eyes when you are all cried out. It feels like the cold weeping of sorrow. And Kiran, you're not alone. You're sat on this wooden rowboat, and in front of you, sat onto like the stern of this rowboat, is an owl. Gray and white feathered, with little splotches of patternings on it, and bright golden eyes fixate on you, almost mechanically. And you look around you at this nothingness, and behind the owl, towards the distant shore, a black beach, midnight black. This owl fixates on you, tilts its head, and then speaks in a mechanical-like voice. I am Escapholus. A message for you, Kiran, Asra, from Her Majesty of the Pale.
Shit. Couldn't say
And
shit.
as soon as that happens, the owl's eyes begin to unfold mechanically like a projector, and projects right in front of you a little visage of a seated Her Royal Highness, the Queen Charlotte of the Pale, ruler of the dead, fixates upon you. She is a very, very pale woman, but her hair is like a gradient of grays and whites and pale colors. It moves with the wind, and it seems like with every lock that moves, it changes and shifts. And her eyes, although it feels dull, it feels like there's no reflection behind those eyes, you feel the laser focus as she peers into you, into your soul. Greetings, trespasser. It has come to my attention that you have arrived in my domain without a visa.
Your Highness. That's correct.
And then you must understand that you require a visa to enter this place. Is that correct?
I understand the rules you have put upon your domain of the Pale.
And yet you break them. So haphazardly you did, stumbling upon my domain. I will give you one warning, Kiran Asra. Leave my domain the way that you came, escorted by my beloved friend here, Escalaphus, and you may go back in one piece.
Fates, I'd like to make a roll, please.
What would you like to roll for?
Okay, I would like to prove my love and take a significant risk.
Okay, roll me with passion, please.
My passion is -1, unfortunately. It's fine.
Okay, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine, y'all. We're doing the -1 rolls in our
Let's go.
second books. It's fine. Go ahead.
Oh no. I had a 7, but it goes down to a 6. It's fine. What I attempt to do before you describe the consequences to me, my dear Fates, is Kiran's ability to phase through things, which makes them so good at sneaking, kind of occasionally works on objects, breaking them. So what they do is make a swipe at this mechanical owl trying to disable it, because they knew the risks coming in here of not getting a visa, of having to wait months for approval if it got approved at all. So they know what they were doing. They know the risks, and they're not going back, and they're not turning around. And this isn't normally what they do, but it's not normally how they act, but it's their angel eyes.
In PBTA, 6 and below is a failure. There's no qualification. There is consequences. You leap forward to swipe at Escalaphus, the owl, in an attempt to perhaps push into the water, to disrupt the mechanicalness of its constitution. You fumble. This is a rowboat. The water is just like water in any sun. It is buoyant, and it is slippery and difficult to maintain one's balance. You fumble forward almost through the holograph of Shalid, as she says, and as Escalaphus kind of like flutters backward in response to you. And the image shakes, glitches for a moment, and then focuses back on you as Shalid smiles. You have made it so easy for her. As she says, I have your answer. So be it, Kiran. Asra. May you be the fugitive upon my realm, and all of my forces shall descend upon you. And as she says that, in a blink of an eye, watchboats appear encircling you. These watchboats are piloted by the guards of the Pale, the armies of Empress Shalad who patrol it. The boats themselves are made with many eyes all around the boat itself, and they are all blinking, looking. And let's say a dozen of these boats, all of their many eyes focus onto you and on this watchboat. And because you have failed, I would like you to take a harm, please, onto your psyche spindle.
Aha. Everybody, we take harm a little differently in Follow Me Down. Normally, you get physical harm, but people are dead here. Mental, emotional, physical are all dealt in the same way, and you do not die. Instead, your psyche gets more frantic, more harm, nervous, anxious, panicking. And the first harm of the psyche spindle. The journey is taking its toll. You are emotionally exhausted and sometimes impatient. And I think as Kiran bumps their head or their body heavily against the wood, noticing these watch boats with their eyes now laser focused on them, they look at the Empress. With all due respect, Your Majesty, fuck you. And
you see her just look at you. So self-assured in her victory. It was nice seeing you, Kiran. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And as that happens, Ascalaphus blinks his eyes and looks back upon you as a normal owl and still sitting at the stern. The watchboats are now clamoring towards you. What would you like to do, Kiran?
The that black shore that you were saying about, what is in that direction besides the black shore?
Alrighty. So what you see,
regardless, I'm starting to row in that direction. I'm just trying to figure out.
Yes, you row in that direction. You see it's empty. For what you can see, it just seems to be the empty shore, the quiet of a beach before a storm hits. And as you clamber further and further forward,
I think I'm recklessly fleeing here.
You're recklessly fleeing.
That is
excellent.
A roll.
Yes, that is a roll. But before you roll, let me tell you what you see so that you are informed of any potential things that I might throw at you. You see corvids, jet black corvids that are a murder of crows, if you will, gathering near the beach. They are carrion crows as they are fluttering about. You know these as emissaries of the Empress, but they are their own entity, just as Ascalaphus is its own entity. So you are now going to roll to recklessly flee.
Yes.
All right, roll with philosophy.
In the direction of the shore, anywhere that there's land, I don't want to be on the Pallid Sea. I do not want to be caught by these watchboats where the only option is drowning. I want us both to come back alive.
Go ahead and roll.
8.
Ooh, you just scraped a success.
Yeah. On a 7 to 9, you managed to get away, only to be confronted with an equally perilous threat or obstacle.
But you rolled an 8, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, interesting. All right. So you managed to get away, only to be confronted with an equally perilous threat. Oh, how mean do I want to be?
Hit me, hurt me. You said this was gonna be this book was gonna be just mean.
Mean. It is mean. You recklessly flee, and as you do so, first of all, piloting a rowboat on your own very hard.
I'm strong, but not that strong.
You're strong, but not that strong, and also you feel the forces of the realm working against you. It is working against you in the boat. It's working against you with Ascalaphus' gaze focusing on you, almost like its own homing beacon on you.
Go away.
And he's still looking at you, and you see the carrion corvids beginning to kind of encircle that area of the midnight beach that you wish to descend upon. Fearing what that might mean, you decide perhaps a different path needs to happen. So you row your boat further and further into shore, and you find yourself upon the Pallid Sea where the water grows colder. You avoid the midnight beach, you avoid the carrion crows. But what you see instead is jutting ice poking out at you, impeding your course. The watchboats are getting closer. It seems that the threat is just as perilous But the crows are now shifting direction. They are now fluttering towards you. Ascalaphus still looks upon you. What will you do now? You're closer to a shore, but it's icy.
This ice, though, does it seem like it's difficult to traverse? Is it traversable?
It's traversable. It may be difficult to traverse, but it is an equally perilous path that's been put before
Correct.
you.
Not wanting to be on the sea much longer, Kiran will ram the rowboat into the sand to get off. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
even hitting some ice and like skittering a
Yep.
little bit.
Yep.
They begin to make their way forward, looking for paths to squeeze through, like trying to find a path where if you're just looking directly at it, I'm already behind ice. You can't see me. Trying to go under and weave through this paths of jutting ice. I'm flexible. I know how to move through things. As much as I hate how good I am at thieving, I am good at sneaking and getting into places
You
I
say that.
shouldn't.
You say that, and you have thefted successfully in the past. This is canon.
This is canon.
And
I don't like to do it.
but you do. You sneak past. As you ram the boat into the ice, you hear the haphazard flutter of a scallophus flying away as your boat hits it.
Unconsciously like pick up a thing of ice and just chuck it at in the general direction.
Yeah, you chuck it, it like flies for a bit before falling helplessly into the water. The watch boat's slow. You took an extremely reckless escape. This is something that these guards don't do. This is not how they dock. You see that they begin to scramble, resorting out their formation as they adjust. But by the time they do so, you're long gone. You have run past this almost forest of ice jutting out, crystals jutting out from the shores, and find yourself on a different area of the Midnight Beach. The sand is black. This part of the beach is not quiet. You hear in the distance from the ocean the sound of a sorrowful whale song. And as you hear this whale song, it tugs, it's such a heartfelt misery. A misery you know so well, grief. And almost accompanying it, like a choir, are random souls here in different circumstances. You see some knelt at the beach, sobbing uncontrollably, as if they've lost something. And they're desperately trying to look for it in the sand. And when you approach them, they take no heed of you, really. They don't acknowledge your presence. You're quiet, you stay low. Perhaps it's okay they don't notice you.
I don't want to be noticed.
Moment. You don't. And as you move through this beach, you see other souls by the wharf in cages. They are ways away from you. It'd be too far out of your way. As they are also moaning, crying in this great storm. The whale's song sings louder again, drowning them out. That aura of misery tugging at your soul again. Tugging. Tugging, tugging, tugging. You feel it. That same feeling when you said 6 fateful words. Hold me forever in every sun. How can you forget that sensation? It was the Hail Mary, the final backup when you last saved your loved one from death. And you feel it so dearly to you still now, tugging you towards the pine forests.
I think as I feel this, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
As I feel this tugging, as I realize that it's there and what it means, that my voyage is not pointless, that I have a direction, that I know where I need to go, I throw stealth to the wind, just being pulled and drawn towards my angel eyes.
You throw caution to the wind, stealth in the wind. You feel him close. Close yet far, but like grasping onto hair that slips through your fingers. And you walk towards this Arctic pine forest, the leaves frozen glacially. Sat on a sign leading into these forests. You see the words written, Cape of the Unrest. It's a frozen inlet with chunks of ice. And you hear a little squawk. A carrion corvid, seemingly not along with their other siblings and comrades in hunting you down, just pecking at their feathers, looks at you. Hey!
We both look at each other.
You just look at each other. He goes, hey! You're not supposed to be here!
Who said that? I'm just taking a walk.
Excuse me, you've got the whole color thing going, you know? It's
Val, I can't. I'm sorry. The voice.
we can have some comedy here, some levity.
I know.
You see those schmucks over there? They're pale. You're not like that.
Can we just pretend we didn't see each other? You seem like a nice crow.
I am a nice crow. Yeah, I'm not a narc.
Yeah. So I'll leave you be, you leave me be. You were just preening while I walked by. You totally didn't see me.
Yeah, but you want to go in there?
I have to go in that direction.
Ugh.
Why? Is there something
Yeah.
I should know?
Well...
A pretty bird like you is very smart. I'm sure you know a lot about that area.
I am very, very smart. I am very, very smart. That's why I'm not being a narc, because I'm intelligent enough to know that snitching is not the way forward. And then he looks around as if looking through the sky to see if anyone's listening. And then goes back to preening and looks back at you. Well, this place. Not pleasant, let me tell you. Not pleasant.
Maybe if you tell me what's going on in there, I can scratch that area in the back of your head that you have a hard time getting.
Well, all right. Where do I start? Is real cold.
Okay.
It's got a bunch of crying people. Well, actually, incorrect. They are screaming people. You see this area here points with its wings. This is where all the people who had no empathy in life go. This is where they go.
Uh-huh.
And Her Royal Highness Empress Charlotte has said and decreed that such people should not be able to weep for themselves, so their eyes are frozen shut.
That's a punishment, all right.
And they look for things to weep for them. And then gestures at you. You are living thing to weep for them. It's why we tell the living to get a visa, because then they travel the right way. But you're not traveling the right way because
No.
the living don't come here. You see?
I needed to get here quicker than a couple months down the road.
Well, this is what a shortcut gets you. I could get you a shortcut.
I never asked your name. What is this very smart crow's name that's helping?
Crow.
All right. Thank you, Crow. Spelled Qrow.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah, so this crow looks at you and goes, I can give you a shortcut. You said you're looking for something in that direction?
Someone.
Well, let me tell you something real cool about us crows. And it kind of like looks down at you. We get you to where you need to go.
Need. Not where I need, where
Where you need to go.
So
Not where you want to go. Where you need to go.
Is the need that you would be bringing me to the same place that I need to go to.
How badly do you need this?
I need to follow this yearning. This tug. And
I think percentages are in your favor.
Is this
It's just an offer.
Is this guy bullshitting me? It's a crow. I know that they work for the Empress.
I think you as a sincere and genuine person see yet another sincere and genuine individual. Their offer is fine. It's the terms of whether you're comfortable with the terms.
I appreciate this kind and thoughtful offer, but I think I have to follow where the compass, or I already know, will lead me in the right direction. Sorry, I dropped one of my die.
Oh, no worries. You need those.
Oh, I found it. I got it.
All right. Go look.
Thank you, Crow. I'll be quiet.
And as you say that and walk away from the crow as it continues cleaning itself and sitting upon this sign, it goes, quiet's not gonna help you.
Their mother.
We don't know anyone there.
Their mother had to have been a parrot. I love them.
Yeah. And you walk in to this frozen forest. It's cold. And even with your jacket, the rain there's a perpetual drizzle. It is like people are spitting at you. It is perpetual. Like rain in the southwest of England.
I hate it.
Perpetual people spitting at you. And it is miserable. It is cold. The ground beneath you is mucky and muddy. There are wails and crying, but not a sob or a weep, a screaming, a frustrated screaming that echoes all around these forests.
I don't like it.
How do you feel being surrounded by screaming, weeping?
In some ways, I feel a little bit of sympathy because they're in a constant agony of pain of an emotional kind. They will be stuck here until they go where the dead go when they are no longer residents of the Pale. But also, as the crow said, they're here for a reason. So the sympathy isn't long lasting, but also it turns into pity. And they're just trying to block it out. Getting distracted by this is only going to be a hindrance. So just moving forward quietly as possible, trying to avoid gazes of anyone who wants to feast on my tears for them.
You walk by, your stealthiness serves you. There are moments where you see these individuals sat upon branches of trees, like clawing at the bark and screaming at it in frustration. Some of them seem like Bisley. Some of them seem like ordinary people. Some of the Bisley seem familiar to you. Members of your father's organization. Grunts. You see members of your aunt's organization. Also grunts, revelation. And as you look upon them, you see it. You see their eyes are frozen shut, glacially. These icicle crystals form over their eyes. They can't see you because they're frozen shut. But there are moments where you step on a especially soggy bit of mud or a bit of dry twigs in the soil that snap, and they snap towards you. Their hearing is keen. But soon the mud is no longer mud. The forest shifts a little bit. And this happened to you a few times before, where it almost takes on a ghostly memory of something else. And you see cobblestones loose in the mud forming. It's still wet. The rain patters a little harder. And the center, question mark, of this pine forest, but it feels that way. It's a fountain. Marble and stone. The stonework cobble beneath you begin to fuse together. It looks achingly familiar. And then you hear her. Content warning, everybody, for familial abuse is now upcoming, specifically verbal abuse. If y'all need to take care of yourselves, please do so. You will not be entering the scene. You hear her. Your sister. You know that scream. You've been on the other end of it plenty of times in your life.
Yep.
Anger, frustration, irritation. Ophelia, a average height woman with long brown hair tied into a single braid, straight-laced, focused, wearing the robes of your father's organization. Your father, King Nine, one of the most feared criminal goetics. Your sister's also goetic, I believe. Your sister is a very, very loyal child of your father. And you see her clear as day before you. Almost all of her. Her arm is missing.
I should have expected this. I knew.
You should have.
I saw her body. I saw her body.
You saw her body. She was killed by a demonic entity named Shudder. I'm trying to remember the other name. Ilford. True name, Alistar. And you see her there. For a few moments, you almost see like there's a hand that exists there. And then it vanishes, and there's that cerulean color of the cause of her death. The missing arm. And she is screaming frustrations, cursing at the Empress as she yells, "Come down here and fucking face me, you bitch! I will rain hellfire upon you! You think I'm afraid of you? Weep for me. Fuck that! I don't need your pity. Fuck your pity." What do you do?
I think at the first screaming, that familiar yell, that voice that just pitches when it hits that climax of rage and frustration when you're taking it out on someone, I freeze. Just out of reflex from just being on her end of verbal tirades in the past. And I'm just listening to her. There's one involuntary step back onto that cobblestone, now no longer slush and mud of a single click as I'm frozen in place as I listen to her. Her mirroring my internal monologue also at the Empress, just not as violent. Not as violent. Same sentiments of fuck you, but...
Same sentiments.
But...
but for different reasons.
For different reasons. But
yours a touch more noble.
Yeah, there's a little bit of internal panic. The fact that out of all the fucking dead people that are here, because in the Pale Sun has the most quantity of people now after the war of Indigo, in Indigo and Saturnine. Out of all the fucking dead people here, she's here.
She sure is. Experiencing perhaps a just punishment for her actions in life.
And if she's here, where's Dad?
Kiran, I have a very important question for you.
Yes?
Did you weep for the death of your sister?
Yes. I wept for both of them. Even though they made my life very difficult in their last year or two, they were still family. I didn't want them to die. So there were tears shed.
You step back out of panic, seeing in life feels a little incorrect, but in the ghostly spectacle, in sentience before you, your sister, that step was all she needed to hear you. As her ears perk in your direction, and you know that form she takes just before she runs towards someone. And she does. She runs towards you, grabs you by the collar or by your shirt, your kurta. And she says, "So you've come to face me, finally." And looks like she's about to raise her hand, her handless hand, where the hand armor would be. The hand armor that granted one the gift of taking one's soul. And there is a realization in Avelia's mind that she doesn't have that.
As she raises her non-existent
not
limb.
Arm.
Phantom limb is a thing, so she probably felt it. But as she's about to, that just motion of the shoulder, the rearing back, there's an involuntary flinch of the face, of putting up an arm to block. And as there's just a freezing between the two of them, her realizing she only has one arm, and me realizing that a physical altercation isn't immediate. Just kind of stare at her and, I'm not here for you.
Two things happen on Avelia's face. The first that happens is the realization, but also the understanding that someone in her grasp flinched. And that familiar voice. Their traitor sibling is now addressing her as she grips tighter. Kiran?
Avelia?
Come to join father and I finally.
You wish.
Breathes in. Oh no. You are alive. So what have you come here for? To gloat? To laud your traitorous self before father and I? I know what you did.
Avelia, you were the last person. No, you're the second to last person I wanted to see here. Let me go, and we can go our separate ways, and you can continue cursing out Empress Shalat.
You cunning, slithering little traitor.
It's
You
better than being a
think-
lapdog. Bitch.
You see her face contort as she grips you tighter.
At this point, I
And
feel like
yeah.
one of my hands
Go ahead.
has like grabbed her wrist, like not trying to pull away, but like there's that tension.
Mm-hmm. As this happens, as the pain of your altercation occurs, she yells at you. Do you know why I am here, little sibling?
Because you and Dad got way too greedy, way too ambitious. You bit off more than you can chew. Using people to get what you want. For what? Power? Where does that get you?
No, it's because my little sibling spared not even a moment's grief on my father and I. And you know that's not true. But she seems to really believe it. And I think you would be under the impression that this is what the dead here in this area think. And then the scene changes. The rain patters harder. On the right next to Avelia, just a few feet away, is the form of Ishmael, held down by a demonic entity. And Avelia holding you the same way as back then.
Realizing that
behind
that's...
her.
Sorry,
No
we're both
worries.
so engrossed in each other.
Yes, but also I need you to know this just in case you decide to maneuver based on the knowledge of this.
Yeah.
You see something shine in the water right by Ishmael, by a puddle, a piece of paper, damp, getting more damp from the rain. It glitters, just like your badge that you have of his glitters. You remember it. It's that silly little piece of parchment Ishmael was fiddling with when he was trying to speak to you.
when he was trying to confess, failing miserably.
Failing miserably. How would you like to approach the situation, as it seems like Avelia is about to escalate this encounter?
Kind of locked in this stalemate of her grabbing me and me just holding on to her, but also seeing this vision of the past, either conjured by her rage or conjured by my grief, and the desire to see Ishmael. I want to look her in the eyes. Well, her eyes are frozen shut, but in her face.
Yeah.
I grieved for you, older sister. You didn't have to die. I don't hate you regardless of what you think. You and Dad did not deserve to die at the hands of an ambitious, selfish demon. But I'm not gonna just let you belittle me here. Let me go. I have someone very important to me to get to.
I think this needs to be a roll.
I do think this needs to be a roll.
Is this Stir the Heart or Shine Contempt?
Yeah, that would be, I think this would be Stir the Heart roll.
All right. Stir the Heart is an Orpheus move to see if you can conjure an emotion upon the denizens here. Roll with poetry.
11.
That is a success. And this is where storytelling goes to you. How does your words reach to Avelia?
I don't think it's necessarily her words that reach her. The mechanical owl said to me that, or I don't remember if it was the owl, but you were telling me about how the people here's eyes are frozen shut, so people weep for them. And I think what happens is that I shed tears because that grief was real. I had a tumultuous relationship with my sister and my father. But as terrible as they were, I didn't hate them. I didn't want this fate for them. And tears release and she gets what she wants. And I think the shock of that this realization that the lies she has been fed while she's been here are just lies, and she realizes that.
So you said, so it shall be done. She falls to her knees immediately because the shock of light entering her eyes as the frozen crystal upon it melts away. And she falls, confused, trying to get her bearings for a moment. Water is streaming down her face, whether it is tears or the melting of the ice, who could say? As she kneels there, dumbfounded for a moment, what will you do?
I'll partially kneel on one knee to her, in front of her, and just place a single hand on the top of her head, silently, before getting up and turning my back to her, to where that very damp piece of paper is that glitters to my soul, and I pick it up.
As you do so, the memory plays. The moments before that, immediately after that confession dropped to the water. And right where you both are standing is the mirror image of Kiran and Avelia. And Avelia's watching herself finally, from watching this whole scene from a third-party perspective. And we all, as the audience, look at this through her eyes, finally. At her ghostly past image of herself of Kiran and of Ishmael. Ishmael screaming desperately for Kiran to be let go as he loses consciousness. And Avelia looks once more at her shattered form of her previous self, hand armor in hand, looking upon your past self, Kiran, as she says, if you are going to continuously be stubborn onto Father's wishes, I will have to take him myself. And as she looks upon this, current Avelia, you aren't entirely sure what you see on her face. You've never seen that feeling on her face before. Shame? As she is knelt down and casts her eyes back onto the dirt.
I hope you grow, dear sister.
She says nothing. And you acquire yet another keepsake, of which I will read to you, fellow audience member.
It's gay.
It's very gay. As you pick it up, the damp confession letter regains some level of dryness. It is no longer at risk of tearing and falling apart. And it reads, "Look, Morning Star, Kiran, there's something I must confess. I don't really know where to start with this. I've rehearsed and rewritten this so many times, I've lost count. Kiran, the feeling did not stop. I waited for it to dissipate, but it stayed. All I could think of was how brightly you smiled, how perfectly disheveled your hair is, and how you never let me get away with anything. You have been on my mind for every waking moment. Even in the throes of sleep, you're there. From breakfasts at mine to evenings at Speakeasy, I begin and end my days with you. What I mean to say is that you have become a necessity. What truly is the nature of our relationship? One that I cannot bear to be apart from you. These feelings that I know my eyes betray, I cannot keep them from you. The way I wish to devote myself to you, your boundless faith holding me close, and I let all the festering sorrow grow. With you, I no longer feel empty, because now it's you. It has always been you. My peace, my strength, my morning star."
And after reading that, Kiran is gently crying.
The latter half you never heard or read.
They still did a bad job at it, telling me, but I know they meant every word.
He did. And as soon as you think that, the tug gets stronger. Almost as if the person on the other side is holding on to it just as tightly.
With a final look at Avelia, who's still staring at the ground, I once again turn my back to her and follow the other half of my soul.
And you do so, going deeper into the forests to whatever may come next. That ends Book 3. Kiran at the Great Storm.
Which means it's my turn.
No, it's my turn to suffer. No.
Yeah. Also, a reminder, this is a charity stream, exclamation donate in chat. We're at 6069. Nice.
Ooh, nice.
Everybody.
Can we get, what, $9 more so we have to say nice twice?
69. Ooh, hello, camera. Why are you being like this? But anyway, we have entered Book 4. Ishmael in the Chasm of Titans.
Oh, this fucking sucks, okay?
We last left off with Ishmael in front of a giant cavern. Its stairs led deep, deep down underground, once again leading into an... Actually, I don't know if this area is familiar to you, Ishmael. However,
I don't like that.
I like to think that over the 7 years between the Soul's Confidant and your death, you have gotten dragged at least once. You owed Emery a drink, and he dragged you to the undersling.
Of course he did.
Yeah, of course he did. You got a little bit of a view of his job accounting. He wasn't completely lying. He was a bookie. He was counting numbers. He didn't lie. It's better than the other type of accountant. There's nothing wrong with the other type of accountant, but that's not for him.
No, this is accounting for an arena brawl. It's fine.
But you realize that there are chains hanging from the ceilings in ways that are decayed, that are similar in a way that you saw when you went to the undersling. The chains that hang up the district hanging over a pit. But you don't see a district down here. But it is cold and it is wet and it is damp, it is echoey. And you occasionally hear scrambles or yells. And eventually you enter upon a very large conical space. Everything is in darkness. You cannot see. There is no light. But there are some glowing fungi, just enough to make sure that you don't fall over the edge into a pit. And there is a pressure above you, something in the ceiling, something hanging from the ceiling high above you, something large far at the bottom of the pit, and so many tunnels as you see more openings around the walls. It feels claustrophobic.
Oh, not this music. Oh, no.
What are you doing? What are you feeling? As you have entered somewhere completely different, very completely different vibes than the train station and heavy sorrows of Asphodel.
You hear as Ishmael's kind of like walking through, because it's claustrophobic and tight space, and he needs to light up the fungi, but he doesn't want to get their spores on him. He may be dead. He will not stylish. He doesn't need to be a mess.
You're already covered in blood.
It's fine. It's my blood. And he kind of like steps across, and he's just kind of like, of course, the time I go look for my morning star, they are through intraversible, dark, claustrophobic. This feels like the 6 months all over again. And as he's like muttering this under his breath, he kind of like slips on a piece of rock, and that's where the real fear gets to him. I feel like ever since Ishmael has arrived in the Pale, he's not as focused on his logical self as much. Everything that makes him has remained, not the things he's acquired, which is logic and reasoning and being cunning and careful. It is his passion. It is feeling things so strongly, and he feels the fear so strongly here as he just carefully tries to traverse the space.
I think my favorite 4 words in this book are that best describe this staircase spiraling around, leading down deeper and deeper, is non-Euclidean nightmare of staircases, spiraling down the chasm walls. Just imagine that, these stairs moving in ways that they shouldn't. You do find yourself upside down at some point with your feet solidly planted on the stairs. Instead,
hates it.
Staring down at the bottom. And down these caverns, you hear pain, scrambling, rocks moving. The tang of coppery blood is in the air, and the occasional drip, drip, drip from the ceiling past you. You see something large up there. You see something large down there. And then you see a shape the size of you. Kind of...
Oh, thank God.
Walking, traversing. They seem comfortable as the steps sound sure. As they are walking up, as you are walking down, there is a form slung over the shoulder of... You're like 6 feet. This person is probably like 5'6", 5'7". Wearing dark leathers really tight against the skin. A very wavy brown hair, curly with sun-kissed color. She has a flute tucked into her belt of a bluish hue made of glass. And as she gets closer, she is whistling a tune, far too happy for this dreary motherfucking place. You smell something sweet and rotten as someone you've only met once comes into view. She's got a gun on her hip, a flute at her side, a bounty on her shoulders. Someone by the name of Anya Prose.
Anya? I think that it clumsily comes out of his mouth because the last time, like, Anya was in his consciousness was when he summoned her.
Like,
and yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah,
You're
with her true name. Yeah, so he's just kind of like, oh God, okay, and he's just kind of like, Anya, wait. Can you see me? Hello.
As you're kind of like trying to catch up, it's not hard because she's coming up and you're going down. Yeah. And as you call out her name, she kind of like stops and like peers at you. And as you're getting closer, you can see that her face is like decaying, like of a body long dead. It doesn't seem to be in any active decay, but it seems not healthy, like not like a healthy corpse. And you realize as you get closer that nice sickly sweet smell is of a corpse.
What?
Heavily covered in like perfume, and some of the way the meat moves underneath the tight leathers makes you think it's not completely on the bone. And she just like kind of looks at you, her weight on one leg, and like she like adjusts the body on her shoulders, which you can see it's like an unconscious person, of some unconscious dead person. She's like, have we met? Also, you shouldn't be here. You don't seem like you should be in a prison.
Prison?
Yeah, this is a prison.
But why are you here if this is a prison? No, also, yes, we've met. I know your partner in life, Electo, a dear friend of mine.
There's genuine confusion on her face, and she's just like pausing and thinking. I think you mean the other Anya.
Kind of looks at her up and down.
Like,
what?
I know who you're talking about. I've met her too. She does great work. I've commissioned her before. Other Anya. Yes, we have the same name. Yes, we look the same. But I promise you are not the same people.
Oh.
And your brain like clicks. You have risen high in the ranks of Vislayhood. There are such things as modalities. People that are the same, that exist in the same space but are not the same people. They don't always have the same abilities, but they often look similar and have the same name. This is not the Anya you knew or summoned. This one seems a little tougher.
Forgive me.
You're not the first person
identity.
to have made this mistake. I understand. She's very popular. Well, she was very popular. Actually, she's still kind of popular. She still makes over here.
I hope things that are far more wholesome and not world-ending destructive.
No, she just likes to make vases, jewelry, stuff like that.
Good, good. She can stick with that.
She's quite content with her life since she's gotten here, so afterlife. You know how it is. Do you need help getting to Cuttlefolk?
No. I want to go in the direction of this. And he like kind of like, I think he imagines, I think he can tug on it. Like this actual like thread that's pulling him closer to Kiran. And he's kind of like, there. What's further down here?
Just further into the pale, or do you mean here specifically? Because like I said, you're in a prison. There's a lot of nasty things down here, and no offense, but it's not the best place for you.
But it's where I must go. Is there an exit? Perhaps you can illuminate better paths so that
Yes.
I don't have to get lost down
Where are you
there.
going again? You just kind of motion to your chest.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you elaborate?
That direction of my partner, who is, I think, here. And if you're saying this is a prison and that there are dangerous things afoot, then it's even more imperative that I move forward.
Your partner? Why didn't... Oh. And like a
Yes.
realization comes into her head. That's my next bounty.
What?
Yeah, your partner's not supposed to be here. Kidding, right?
Yes.
They're not supposed to be here. The Empress wants their head on a platter and yeeted the fuck out of here. And you don't piss off the Empress. They're here without a visa?
Oh God, it's worse than I thought.
They swore at her.
Oh, it's even more worse than I thought.
Yeah, it was bad.
Wait, are you intending to kill them?
No. What's the point of killing them? They just end up right back here when I'm trying to throw them out. There's probably going to be some kind of consequences, but that's not in my purview.
Look, and you see like Ishmael kind of like looks at her and goes, I need to get to them. Maybe I can sort this out. I don't want them in any danger, please.
Just follow the stairs down. You'll eventually get down to the bottom where there is an exit. Don't look too closely at the pit or above. If you can, just put your side shields on and just go straight. Unless you want to be harassed by a lot of dangerous folks down here.
No, I don't want that at all, actually. No, I will move. Thank you. I know you're not the same Anya, but I imagine that never mind. And he looks like he's about to say something and then thinks better of it and keeps moving.
Best of luck.
Thank you. Apparently I'm going to need it from your warnings.
Yeah, you and Kiran are gonna need it.
Oh God. And as he's like walking forward, he, unseen to Anya, he like closes his eyes. And the snakes on his tattoos, because they're with him, kind of snake up to his face and like keep him company on his cheeks. As he steels himself and steps forward.
As you move down, you hear... It's still the same. You hear the occasional drops of something falling from the ceiling. At this point, you're pretty sure it's not water.
But, yep, nope, not looking, not caring.
But not looking and not caring doesn't keep out the sounds. It doesn't keep out the smells. It doesn't keep out the dampness. And as you go down farther and farther, you know it's hard not to notice them, even when you're ignoring things. Just out of your periphery, there are more tunnels. You hear people crying. You hear people cursing, scrambling against rocks as they try and leave their own personal prison of a tunnel. And eventually, you hear the sound of a metronome. going click, 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 back and forth in a steady tempo. And that tug in your chest veers left down a tunnel.
You have to be in a tunnel. Do you have to be in a tunnel? You see Ishmael kind of go like, of course it's a tunnel. Of course it's yet another tunnel. And he steels himself and like keeps walking forward, still heeding Anya's advice of don't look up, don't look to people, just keep moving, keep going into the tunnel. And he's hoping that there's no one in the tunnel that he has to not look at.
As you enter this tunnel, you walk and you walk and you walk, and the ticking gets louder. It doesn't change in tempo. It's still very steady. And you're just brought back to a couple years ago when Kiran decided to take up playing the piano again. And they bought a metronome to help them keep tempo while they practiced. And as this memory is in your head, you get to this end of the tunnel where there are large stalactites and stalagmites rising up, making a makeshift cage, where inside you see a metronome high out of reach. It's like on a high stone shelf. And you see someone you've never met him. You've seen a picture of him.
Oh, fuck.
But you see a broad-shouldered, dark brown-skinned man with gross, now very greasy, gnarly dark hair. Their skin is covered in blood and dirt and dust. And they are leaning up against the wall. And next to him is the bottom half of his torso. He has been dismembered at the waist.
Next to him?
Next to him. And the last time you saw this man was in a photograph that was ripped in half right where his body parts have been torn asunder. This is your first time coming face to face with your father-in-law, Galal
That's right.
Asra, King 9, Kiran and Avelia's father, who was the cause of a lot of problems 7 years ago.
The main cause of the problem, in my opinion, but it will remain my opinion and hopefully not said out loud, Ishmael says to himself.
But this metronome, you see, is Kiran's. And King 9 has his hands over his ears, trying to block out that obnoxious sound. And you realize it's placed out of his reach. Because his height has been cut in half. He can't stand. He can't reach it. And he doesn't seem to notice your approach.
Cool.
The fucking sound. Fucking kid always playing all the time is so annoying. You just kind of hear him mumbling.
Ishmael is sitting here being like, oh, he likes the metronome sound.
He doesn't.
Because it reminds...
Oh, you like the metronome
Yeah,
sound.
Ishmael does.
Yeah.
Because for him, he associates it with Kiran practicing. And even while Kiran practices their music, it's still sweet sounding. It's melodious. It is calming and soothing. And the metronome is also like calming and soothing. It helps him keep pace with his readings, with his work. It's comforting ambient noise to him. So honestly, for the most part of this interaction, unlike before where he was like focused on the metronome, now it just kind of sinks into the backdrop. And it gives him a lot of confidence and comfort. But King 9 looks pissed.
He's annoyed. Very disgruntled, very angry.
He's never spoken to this man.
Nope.
He weighs his options and his judgment. and kind of looks over at King Nine and he goes, Mr. Asra? Is that you?
He doesn't so much jump, but more so looks sharply over at you. It seems like the sound of something other than water dripping on rock or the sound of the metronome. It's something something new that he hasn't heard in gosh knows how long that he's been down here. If time even is way time moves is even the same. And he's just looks sharply over at you, gives you like a up and down, and like, who the fuck are you?
I am Ishmael Kadir, your son-in-law.
I don't have a son-in-law. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, about that. We got married after the whole shutter thing, Alistar thing.
And like he looks at you and just kind of does the whole
Yeah. There it is. Yeah,
you're the little whelp my piece of shit kid was trying to protect, huh?
Yeah.
Looks like
I
you
sure
got
am.
shafted.
I got a good 7 years out of it.
You're still
Can't say
here
the same
now.
for you.
You're dead.
I'm dead, but at least I have my lower half.
This will change.
Ah. You're going to defy the laws of her empress. Somehow.
Don't worry. I'll be back in Indigo soon enough.
You see Ishmael kind of like rolls his eyes and goes, and do what exactly? Wreak more havoc? What? Start more deals with entities you don't understand the capabilities of and then get shafted again?
I don't expect someone like you to really understand my goals.
You are speaking to the Master of Empyrean Pacts.
Oh,
I
wow,
know exactly
Master
your
of
goals.
Empyrean Pacts, wussy ass angels, cool. Get off your high horse, Miss Prissy Pants.
Oh, I have no issue with summoning demons. You mistake me.
Listen, I'm not here to discuss the nitty-gritty intricacies of goetic summonings. What the fuck do you want?
Apparently the same thing you want. I want that metronome with me. And you want it gone. Right.
He looks up at the metronome and looks at you. All right, I'm listening.
Yeah, I thought there was a reasonable man in there. And Ishmael will find a loose rock or stalagmite that's like flattened out and like sit on it. And looks over at King Nine. How tall is it? I can't reach it either, right? With my height.
You can if you go in the cell.
Ooh.
It's probably like you can just reach it if you reach up. It's like 7, 8 feet high.
I have to go into the cell.
Yeah.
Do I think I can squeeze out?
What was that?
Do I think I can squeeze out?
You have to figure out how to get in there first, because it's not the bars, the quote unquote bars of the cell are not very wide, or else King Nine would have squeezed out a while ago and just crawled his way out of the chasm of Titans. But if you go in, he can come out. How badly do you want that metronome?
Ooh, hold on. I have an idea.
Oh, really? Enlighten me.
I would like to use my Pierce the Veil to see if there's some sort of ambient magics here in the pail that I can influence.
All right.
Because Ishmael doesn't like Mr. Asra
No,
and
he's
does
not
not
likable.
want Mr. Asra to escape.
And yet
He
somehow
wants the metronome.
he had a partner and he had 2 kids, so he was likable at some point.
At some point, I don't know when that is. It's clearly far gone. But I think Ishmael is going to use his snakes, and they kind of almost peek out of his skin, and like how snakes do to sniff the air to understand the influence of magic here.
All right.
And I need to roll for that.
Please roll philosophy.
I have a 0 to it, so
All right, so flat roll.
Jesus Christ. Sorry, my dice, I don't know where it went. I'll roll the other one. Okay. That is a 10, exactly.
So
5 and 5.
You get to ask 2 of the questions on the sheet.
This is hard.
Yeah, that is.
What secrets are kept by those in this place?
What secrets are kept by those in this place? Are there any kind of specific secrets you're looking for in specific vein?
Well,
By the chasms or specifically for King 9? I'll make it a
I'm going to say King 9, specifically for King 9. And I think Ishmael wants basically the secrets is him calculating the likelihood of King 9 fucking him over.
King 9 looks greedy. You know he's greedy and tenacious and stubborn. And he's not a nice man. If you go in there within his grasp, and it's not a large cell, like, even if you were on the other side of the wall, he'd be able to reach you with one of his arms.
Mm-hmm.
He will go for you. He is a vindictive man. You know this about him. Throughout your interactions, or at least dealings and talking with people, and how Kiran described him to you, he is vindictive and he will fuck you over. He doesn't care. As long as you open a door, he can leave. You can take his place in here, for all he cares.
You wish so. Do I see evidence of binding magic on the floor of the cell?
You see something on the floor of the cell. And it's not the way you make your circles with chalk and reagents and paints. It's the way the cracks in the ground are set. The way rocks are just gently poking out that show a pattern. There is a binding magic in the cell of a sort where one person can exist in here. One person has to be in here. If he can get you in here, he can leave.
All right, Mayor, roll with me here. Roll
All
with
right,
me here.
hit me.
I love you very much.
Fucking
Roll
hit
with me here.
Let's go.
Ishmael hops up towards close to the gate of the cell.
It's not a gate.
Right.
It's just the columns.
Like bars, the
Yeah.
columns of stone.
Yeah.
And looks at King 9. And I'm going to perform the greatest, sneakiest Ishmael trick up, and it's happening in his death. Ishmael wants to come in, get the metronome,
Okay.
and as soon as King 9, he wants to be able to go in, and as soon as King 9 pulls his shit, because he's already expecting him to pull a shit, that he outsmarts him and like slips him, wrenches away with the metronome and pushes him off.
You're trying to go in, go out. You're trying to go in,
Yes,
go out.
go in, go out. I'm trying to do a heist maneuver here.
This is a prove your love roll of taking a significant fucking risk, because you're gonna have to squeeze through those doors. King 9 is a broad-shouldered man. He cannot fit through those. You might be able to fit those, but it'll be a squeeze.
I can't use these dice. I need to use the Ishmael die. I believe in the Ishmael die. Come on.
Believe in the heart of the cards. Believe in
Believe
your
in the
heart.
heart of the cards.
But yeah, you need to roll with passion to prove your love for taking a significant risk.
It's almost out. There we go. This is the Ishmael die, in case everyone want to know. It's black and gold. Okay. Taking a significant risk. Come on, you got +2 to pathos. 4, 4, 10.
On a 10 plus, describe a positive memory of your love that spurs you on to success as you describe your maneuvers and how you. Because he lunges, he fucking goes for you. As soon as you're like just enough in there and far enough from the door where you can't just slip back out, he goes for you. Describe what happens in this memory.
I think, because this is a risky memory, I'm going to... It's not a wholly positive memory. This Ishmael remembers his reunion with Kiran. When they finally are at his home and are able to spend time with each other without worrying about King 9, without worrying about Shudder, about the hand armors wrenching them away. And he specifically remembers talking with Kiran about everything. Why they did what they did. Why they felt the need that both of them weren't strong enough to face down King 9. I forgot the name of the game, but I remember that there's a game that you can play where your soul is forfeit in an invisible sun. And that was what King 9 specifically threatened. Basically 20 questions, but your soul is forfeit.
Yes. I don't remember the name of the 7 questions, but yes, that was the threat King 9 pulled against Ishmael and held over Kiran's head. Where if you answer insincerely or incorrectly, you can be sundered from existence.
And in describing this memory it's that conversation that sticks out in his mind, because he looks Kiran in the eyes and says, "We are stronger together than we ever are apart. And I know there is nothing I can't do if I have you with me." And in that moment, as he remembers that, he grabs King 9, as he slips out of the bars and grabs King 9, pulls him taut against the barriers of the cage, and he says, as he slithers close to his face, serpentine as his black snake, Vasuki, shows up right near his eye and says, and the snake is speaking at the same time as he says, "If you think that I haven't spent the past 7 years dreaming of this moment, you are sorely mistaken. I have outwitted you once again, Mr. Asra.
Mr. Asra.
I would call you King 9, but I see that you have been dethroned. And let's go." And takes the metronome.
That roll keeps you, it makes you succeed and you get to do what you want, but it doesn't prevent him from spitting in your face.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, fair.
He does spit in your face, and it's filled with blood and saliva and phlegm.
Charming. This is why you weren't invited to the wedding.
So if I would fucking go.
Well, if that will be all, father-in-law.
And you are able
And he
to
goes,
leave.
and he leaves, yeah. And I think he he could keep it in his kruta to keep the sound from echoing constantly in this cave as he leaves. But no, he holds it out, his trophy, as he shuffles out of there. And he says, I'll send Kiran your regards.
Tell them to go fuck themselves, filthy traitor.
Gone forward.
You continue your way down this non-Euclidean staircase of death. Once again being thrown.
I hate these.
Once again being thrown in odd directions and things in ways that shouldn't make sense but do, and you don't fall or hurt yourself. It's still precarious. And it's a good thing you're already dead, because if you fell to the bottom, you would be dead.
Yeah, more dead.
Again, more dead. And
More dead.
as you make your way to the bottom, there is no more stairs. You see a door with a wooden border of vines and trees and fruits engraved into it. And from the pit next to you, you hear groaning and laughing as it echoes everywhere and through your bones.
Don't look into the pit. Don't look into the pit. Don't look into the pit.
There's something powerful down there and scary, terrifying. But you've made it to the bottom and out. That tug brings you to that door where you may step through and leave the chasm of titans.
Oh, thank God. Okay. I didn't know there was another one coming after me. I was like,
I thought about it. I thought about it. And this is where we're going to end part one.
Part
1, everybody. Of
Great session, y'all.
Hold Me Forever and Every Son of Follow Me Down 2-Shot. Oh, okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight of this heartbreaking game. I hope you enjoyed it. We are going to do sign-off super quick. I'm going to see if there's anyone I can raid. So in the meantime, Val, would you like to start?
Yes, I can do the quick outro. Hi, everyone. My name is Valiant Dorian. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a TTRPG performer, GM, writer, and Twitch variety streamer. You can find me all around the internet at Valiant Dorian or at Also Spirit Bear. Please enjoy that lovely treasure hunt I just set you on. And tonight, I had the distinct pleasure of playing Ishmael Kadir, who is our Eurydice, and uses he, they pronouns, as well as the fates tormenting Mare this entire way through. We hope to see you next week. And Mare, I hand it off to you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mare. You can find me on Twitter at Archmage of Dice. Oh, gosh. What do I have going on right now? I have the other half of this game next week on the Wednesday. I think it's the 25th, I think, right? The 25th? Yes.
25th?
At 7 p.m. Eastern time here on Sorting Key. On Saturdays also at 6 p.m. Eastern, we have the channel's flagship campaign, Horizons Call, where I play a Soul Knife Centaur Rogue on the ocean. And I currently have a casting call open right now that's going to be played on over on Neon Lights Roleplay for a game of Print Weaver, which is a Souls-like dark game where your characters can just keep dying and they come back, and your characters are based off your own fingerprints. That will be open until tomorrow evening. I think it's set to close at like 8 p.m. Eastern. If you go to my Twitter, it's my pinned tweet. Please get your applications in while the form is still open, and we're going to go through that and hopefully run everything. Channel stuff. The rest of the month, we still have one-shots running on the channel, raising money for Project Hope to raise funds for Ukraine and Ukrainian refugees. The next 3 one-shots on the channel next week, the Sunday on the 22nd, and these are all at 1 p.m. We have Raccoon Sky Pirates. Please go check that out. The 29th, we have a game of Paranoia Happiness is Mandatory, also at 1 p.m. Eastern. And the Exuvier game was pushed off, I believe, till February 5th. So please go check that out. We'll be raising funds, and keep an eye on the channel for more casting calls and stuff, because I know we're going to have them. Also, keep an eye on the Twitter, because my Invisible Sun game cast is going to be announced soon.
Yes.
I'm super excited. Am I missing anything? Val,
I don't think
mods.
so.
I don't
I don't
know.
think so.
Okay.
Just hope to see you on part 2.
Yeah, join us next week. Help us raise money for a good cause. Oh, what did we raise today? We raised at 6069, everybody. So what we're going to go do is we're going to go raid Super Dylan, who is just chatting with some friends. So everyone, please stick around from the raid. Do we have a raid message? Is this the raid message, the explanation raid? Yeah, go put the raid stuff in chat. Give them some love and their guest, and we will see you soon. Bye.